Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the subscription economy, and we're going to see how it's been engineered really meticulously, not just to be convenient, but to actually use your own brain against you. All right, let's just jump right in with a question for you. Seriously, think about it for a second. How many subscriptions do you think you pay for every single month? Got a number? 5? Maybe 10? Well, I hate to break it to you, but whatever you just guessed, it's almost definitely wrong. The reality? It's pretty staggering. The average person, and I mean average, underestimates what they're spending on subscriptions by up to 300%. And look, this is not an accident. It's not a simple mistake on our part. It's the whole point. It's by design.
So you gotta ask, how in the world did we get here? Let's kick things off by looking at this massive shift, how we went from owning things to basically renting, well, everything.
We're now living in what some people call a rentier economy. I mean, think about it. Software, music, even heated seats in your car are now a monthly fee. And all this has led to something you've probably felt, subscription fatigue. You know that feeling? It's that mental drain, that financial exhaustion from just trying to keep track of all these little payments quietly slipping out of your account every single month. Okay, so why? Why is every single company, from the huge tech giants all the way down to your local coffee place, so completely obsessed with this subscription model? Well, the answer, surprise, surprise, is all about the money. It really all boils down to one word: predictability. You know, a normal old school business starts every quarter at zero. They've got to go out and earn every single dollar. But a subscription company, they start the quarter with a huge chunk of their revenue already guaranteed. It's locked in. It's what investors call sticky revenue. And this is where it gets crazy. That predictability has a massive effect on how much a company is worth. Wall Street absolutely loves it. They'll value a subscription company at 10, even 20 times its revenue, while a traditional company might only get 2 times. So of course, there's this enormous pressure to turn everything, and I mean everything, into a subscription. The poster child for this whole thing? Adobe. You probably remember this. Back in 2013, they made the huge switch. No more buying Photoshop once. Now it was a monthly subscription. And yeah, they took a revenue hit in the short term, but they proved the model. They came out the other side with a way higher market value, and here's the key, a captive audience that had to keep paying. All right, so we've seen the business case. Now let's get into the really fascinating part, the psychology. Because this isn't just about spreadsheets and revenue models. It's about how your own brain is used against you. One of the biggest tools they use is something called status quo bias. It's a powerful little quirk in our brains. Think about it. With a one-time purchase, you have to make an active choice to buy. But with a subscription, the default is to keep paying. You have to actively decide to stop buying month after month. And they're just betting on the fact that doing nothing is always the easier option. And then they hit you with loss aversion. This is a big one. Psychologists have shown that the pain of losing something feels about twice as powerful as the pleasure of getting it. And companies absolutely weaponize this. They frame cancellation not as saving money, but as losing access, making it feel like a real painful loss, even for a service you don't even use. Right, and this really hits the nail on the head. It's all about triggering that little voice in your head that says, but what if I need it someday? That fear of maybe, just maybe, needing it later is so powerful, it keeps us paying for things we haven't touched in months or years. And of course, there's the death by 1,000 cuts approach. Our brains are funny. We're not great at adding up a bunch of small recurring costs. So 10 little charges for $10 each doesn't feel as bad as one big $100 charge, right? Even though, obviously, it's the exact same amount of money. So let's put all this together. Who is the absolute perfect customer for these companies? It's the dormant user, the person who pays them every single month but never actually uses the service, the ghost subscriber. They're pure profit. This means, mathematically, these companies have zero incentive to remind you you're still paying them.
Okay, now let's look at how this plays out in the real world. Because they make signing up incredibly easy, right? It's a smooth, frictionless slide. But canceling? Oh, that's a whole different story. That's an uphill battle, and that is 100% intentional.
Yeah, there's a name for this in the industry. It's called the roach motel. Super easy to get in, but almost impossible to get out. They do this using something called dark patterns. These are user interface tricks, basically, screens and buttons that are intentionally designed to confuse you, to frustrate you, and to make you just give up when you try to cancel. It's what we call the cancellation gauntlet. You've been there. First, you have to spend 10 minutes just finding the hidden cancel button. Then they hit you with a special offer to stay. Then you have to click through 3 different Are You Sure pages. And right at the very end, they throw a hey, what about 2 months free offer at you? The whole thing is designed to exhaust your willpower until you just say, forget it. And sometimes it's even worse than that. Some of the most common barriers are just brutal. They'll force you to make a phone call and talk to a retention specialist who is really just a high-pressure salesperson. Or they'll make you go through this horrible password recovery process just to get to the page where you can cancel. It's all about making it as annoying as possible. So, what's the end game here? Where does all of this lead? What happens when you push this model to its breaking point?
Well, the long-term consequence is pretty profound. It's basically the end of ownership. Think about it. A collection of books or CDs or DVDs, that was an asset. It had some resale value. But a collection of streaming subscriptions, that has zero value the second you stop paying. It's a huge, almost invisible transfer of wealth from regular people to the big platform companies.
But, you know what? A correction is starting to happen. We're seeing things like the return of the bundle, where streaming services are teaming up because they know we're all exhausted. And, kind of ironically, a whole new industry has popped up selling, you guessed it, a subscription to help you manage all your other subscriptions.
And this is a big deal. Governments are finally starting to pay attention. There's a proposed rule from the FTC called the click-to-cancel rule. It's super simple. It says that canceling a subscription has to be just as easy as signing up for it. If this happens, it could completely wipe out that inertia revenue, the money they make from people who just forget to cancel, that so many of these companies rely on.
A rule like that would cause a massive shakeup. The only companies that would survive are the ones that shift their thinking. They'd have to move away from what we call friction-based retention, basically trapping you, to trust-based retention. And what's that? It's the radical idea of just making a product so good that you want to keep paying for it. So that's what we'll leave you with. Think about it for a second. In a world where every single one of your subscriptions had a big, obvious one-click cancel button, which ones would actually survive? Really think about it, because your answer to that question, well, that's what's going to shape the entire future of this economy.